everybody, welcome back to Gifted Guitars. Today we are continuing our work on this JoJo Siwa bow-shaped custom guitar. I am super excited about this project. I think it's turning out really cool. Today we're gonna sand it down and polish it up, make it look really nice. I've got a new tool for that, which I'm very excited about trying out. And then we're gonna put the whole guitar together and see if it plays, which I'm a little nervous about. This is my first time ever doing a custom shaped guitar, not from a guitar kit, like an actual, I drilled all the holes and the things in this, so we'll see if I put them in the right places today, which should be interesting. The first thing we gotta do though is take off all the masking on here. So this, let's see, I don't wanna peel up anything, so I'm gonna kinda go downward with it, and hopefully the masking worked just fine. Right now, the guitar is shiny. You can see how shiny it is, but it has something called orange peel texture. Basically, when you spray paint something, no matter how even you are, you're gonna get these little spots, little speckles, because the spray paint is basically little drips that are ending up onto the thing that you're spray painting. It has this sort of texture that's kind of like an orange peel. I'm gonna try and get rid of most of that by doing wet sanding. So I'm gonna start with a 400 grit paper, a little bit of water and soap. I'm gonna spray it, sand it down, then go finer and finer grit sandpaper until finally we'll go to our polishing phase when I get to bust out my brand new cool toy. Okay, whew, that was a lot. But I got it sanded. I feel like that was the best sanding, wet sanding that I've ever done on a guitar. There's still a few spots where it's not totally even. There's a couple of divots that I found as I was going through it. One of the hardest things about wet sanding a guitar are the edges, especially when they're rounded edges like this. And I did hit a couple spots. I'm not sure if you can see it there, but I went down too deep. That's also one thing that's super hard about this, is you're never quite sure how far you can sand before you end up getting the paint, and you don't want to get the paint, you just want to get the lacquer off. Overall, very successful, I think. All right, it's time to show you my new toy. It's these sponge polishing pads that I put on my drill, and they're totally gonna save me tons of time and fatigue. So, yes. I'm excited about this. I have two sets of these. I have two different polishes. One's a medium and one is a fine. So I'm gonna start with the medium and then I'll switch out the set, because you're not supposed to use the same pads for different grits of the polishing compound. So this one will be for medium, and I actually labeled everything when I got it because I'm a huge nerd. But you can see there's an M on there, and then I have an F for the fine one. Apparently these work very well, but I don't trust it. So I'm gonna start on the back of the guitar and work my way to the front. All right, I think we have something here. This is a pretty shiny guitar. I have not yet put a neck on this since I painted it, so I think it's time. It's time to put the neck on. It looks like a guitar and a bow. Looks like both. Yeah, this is good. I think this is good. This is looking pretty awesome. I could see somebody playing this named JoJo. Feels good. Feels like a guitar. Next step is to put the electrical components in, make sure it all gets wired up correctly, and then make sure all the strings line up correctly, which is the part I'm the most nervous about. All right, now that the guitar is all together, we can start putting in all the electrical components. And I should mention that this box of stuff is what I'm gonna be using. Some of this is leftover from other guitars that I've done. Some of it's brand new. I bought these brand new for this. But primarily, the components that I'm gonna be putting into this guitar are from another guitar that I'm working on simultaneously. I'm working on a guitar for my sister Rachel. She knows about it already. She's actually gonna guest star in a future episode about her guitar, but I swapped out a bunch of the components because I wanted them to look a certain way. And so I'm taking what we didn't use in hers and putting it into JoJo's guitar. So part of JoJo's guitar is also gonna be tied to my sister Rachel's guitar, which I think is kind of a cool thing. Anyway, let's go ahead and see if we can figure this whole mess out. One of the things I purchased online specifically for this guitar are all of these components here. It all came pre-soldered, but I'm gonna have to unsolder it in order to feed the wires through the guitar itself. I'm gonna unsolder it at the switch level here and run everything up from the bottom of the guitar up to where the switch is gonna go near the top of the guitar. That's the current plan. When I was soldering Colleen's guitar, I had a little accident where a drop of solder fell onto the guitar, the finished guitar, and I scraped it off and it took a lot of the paint with it. So for this guitar, I am building little shields out of just paper so that if any solder drops on it, it won't ruin the finish on the guitar, in theory. All right, this next part always makes me a little nervous. I am going to string up one string, plug it in, see if we get the right kind of sound. The first time I ever did this on a guitar, it worked perfectly. The last time was a mess. Hopefully I've learned some things and maybe this will work. I was sort of making up the wiring as I went along, so I'm not totally sure. To me it makes sense, so hopefully to electricity it also makes sense. All right, she's all plugged into my trusty little travel amp. Let's turn it on, see what happens. Yes! Yes, 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 yes. Oh, that feels real good. That's something I normally test out before I do any of the other work, but since this guitar was being built from scratch, I didn't have the opportunity to test it out until just now, and it works. The electronics work. I don't have to resolder anything. I can close it up and just keep moving on with the rest of the guitar. You have no idea how happy that makes me. It makes me very happy. I'll tell you, that's how happy it makes me. Very happy. A couple things that I noticed is that the action is super, super low right here. But that might not be a problem. Huh. That might not be a problem. It just seems super, super low to me. Sorry, I just realized that some of you probably aren't guitar nerds like me. The action is how far the string is from the neck of the guitar. So when you say something has close action, it means that the string, let's say this is the string, is really, really low down to the neck. Let's say my arm is the neck, and it's riding really close to it. High action means that the string is pretty high up off of the neck. And you want somewhere in the middle. If it's too low, the vibration of the string will hit up against the other frets on the neck, and it'll make a buzzing sound. If it's too high, it gets really, really hard to play with your fingers, and the notes go out of tune as you make them with your other hand. So I need to sort of adjust the neck and the bridge height and figure out where everything's gonna land. But yeah, I cannot believe the electronics work, because the last guitar just didn't work. And this one I had even less like information on it. I was guessing through the whole wiring process, and it totally works. So when I saw the guitar put together for the first time, I was looking at it, and this black part right here and here just seemed to stand out to me. It seemed kind of out of place. So I put in an order online and got some vintage white pickup rings. That's what that part is called. And I'm gonna see if they fit, because if they fit, it's gonna brighten up the whole guitar and it'll feel a lot better to me. Oh man, that is a world of difference. I love this. This is so much better. This is how dark it made the guitar before. Just kind of brought the whole thing down, and now it's just like, yay! And yay is good. Now I'm gonna go through the whole guitar and make sure everything is screwed in where it needs to be screwed in. All right, everything is locked down where it should be. So I got everything screwed in on the back, everything screwed in on the front. And now I want to spend some time on the fretboard, which is this part right here. The frets are these metal parts that go across here. And when you're playing guitar, you press down on strings and they make contact with these frets and they change the note that you're playing on each string. This is a really important part of the guitar. It needs to be set up just right. They all need to be level on the top. And on a nice guitar, they're really rounded off here on the edges so that it feels really comfortable when you're playing. Right now, this feels like a budget guitar, and I don't want it to feel like a budget guitar. I want it to feel like a nice guitar. So I'm going to go through, and the first thing I'm going to do is sand down all the edges on the frets here and file these down so that they're not sharp. Then I'm going to try and make everything level up here, and I'm going to try and do all of that without messing up the rest of the neck. So I'm going to be masking it off at some points and really just spending some time making sure that this part of the instrument works the best that it possibly can. Now I'm going through with this, it's called a fret rocker, and basically it's set up with these little areas that can fit 3 frets at a time, and you put it down, so let's see, right here would go like this, and you try and rock it. And if you can rock it, that means that the fret in the middle is a little high, and it needs to get sanded down. So I'm going through all the different areas of the fretboard, and I'm using a Sharpie and sharpieing the areas that are too high that need to get sanded down. Let me show you a little side project that I've been working on. All of JoJo's bows, her official bows, have this little tag. They have this little symbol with the heart with a star inside. It's JoJo's logo. And they're on all of her official bows. So I wanted to make one that was large enough to put onto the guitar. It has been a process. I've been trying to figure out every which way of doing this. What I found at the hardware store were these little plug caps. So it looks like this on one side, and then it's got this like cap thing, which I plan on like bending down so that it's not there anymore. Then I took some copper wiring that has like a silver coating on it. It's for jewelry making. I bent out the shapes that I needed, and then I soldered them onto one. It kind of looks messy right now, but that's my terrible soldering job. It's been very frustrating. I haven't been taking the camera out because I've just been kind of popping into the garage for like 10 minutes at a time trying to make it work and then leaving the garage, so I haven't been documenting the whole thing. But right now, I've taken some of Jessica's nail polish, and I'm gonna put nail polish inside the areas where I don't want the heart showing, and hopefully that'll clear it up and it'll look just like one of the ones that is on her regular size bows, but big. The JoJo medallion is done. I think the nail polish looks pretty cool on it, but the rest of it I think looks very homemade, but I think that's okay. The guitar is kind of homemade, so it's a little homemade touch to it, and it is gonna go right over here. I've kind of marked it off on the guitar, and I've roughed it a little bit with some sandpaper, some really rough sandpaper, and I filed the back of this, and now I'm gonna try and fix it on here with this stuff called Bead Fix. It's a 2-part epoxy. Never used it before. Hopefully it doesn't ruin the guitar. We'll find out. Basically, I mix these 2 tubes together, apply it to the guitar and apply it to this, put them together, clamp it, and then hope that it dries well in the morning. All right, I guess we check on that in the morning. It is the next day, time to take the clamp off and see if that 2-part epoxy worked. Little side note, my brain is constantly working on these guitars, like constantly trying to figure out what's gonna be the best course of action. So much so that last night I had 3 different dreams of me pulling this clamp off and the guitar falling apart. Oh, that is on there. Oh, I love it when dreams don't come true. All right, the last thing is to put on some strings. There's a couple extra things that go along with that. There's an area of the guitar called the nut, and the strings pass through that up at the top of the neck. It's this piece right here. And you want the strings to go across that without any extra friction. So you lubricate it, and the best way to lubricate that is with graphite. Now, the best place to get graphite that I know of is a pencil. So I'm just gonna go in here and get some graphite in the slots of the nut. Another kind of cool feature about this guitar is I ordered the tuners separately, and because I did that, I got to get some kind of nicer tuners. These are actually locking tuners, which means with the guitars in the past that I've done, I've had to wrap the string around a couple times before there was enough friction there to keep the string from popping out of the tuner. With this guitar, there's a little gear down here at the bottom, and when I screw that in, it puts a special post that goes up and locks the string into place. And so I don't have to wrap it around as many times. I just stick the string in, tighten that, and then I can tune the guitar. Pretty cool little feature. It's definitely an upgrade I want to do to some of my other guitars down the line. This type of headstock requires something called a string tree, because see how far this string has to go from here to here and how short this distance is to here? There should be a string tree that holds these down a little bit to create the right amount of tension right here on the nut. So because I got to customize this guitar a little bit, typically this type of neck has this type of string tree. That right there is very typical, just one string tree, and these ones are still quite a distance away. It's better to have two string trees, to have ones that have little rollers on it so that they can go freely through the string tree, and that's exactly what I got right here. I was excited to do some customization on this guitar, and so I got these ones. These are supposed to be very good, and I'm about to apply them right now. All right, I'd be lying if I told you I wasn't a little bit nervous about right now, but this is the guitar. It is pretty much done. There's one little extra thing that I want to do, but I want to do it with JoJo. So I'm gonna test it out right now, and if it works, I'm just gonna leave it the way it is until I give it to JoJo. So this might be the finished product. Looks like this on the back. Looks like this on the front. Yes. All right. All right, I'm hearing noise. All right, that was this pickup right here. Hear the difference there. Okay, that's cool. Let's see, what's the song that JoJo likes? I love the tuners on this. I actually like the way it feels. It feels like you would think a shape that's not used very often in guitar wouldn't feel comfortable, but it sits on the knee really nicely. If you wanted to hold it in this position here, it works as well. I really like the way it looks. I like the way it feels. It's a solid guitar. It stays in tune. The frets feel really nice when you're playing. You don't feel pain, which is good. I was worried that this cutout wasn't going to be big enough. With my hands, I can get pretty far down here. I can't quite reach the top frets here with the guitar built the way that it is, but hey, this is a learning process. I feel like the shape looks really good. I feel like the colors on it look really nice. Yeah, I've impressed myself. I think this is a good guitar. This is nice. If you liked today's episode, please give it a thumbs up. If you like what I'm doing here on the channel, please consider subscribing and getting the notifications turned on so that you can see when I post new videos. The next video that I'm gonna post is me giving this guitar to JoJo. I don't know. I don't know what her response is gonna be. I hope she likes it, and I hope she picks up the guitar. One of the cool things about getting a guitar that's like different, that's catered to you, is that it makes playing guitar a little more fun to learn. If she hasn't already started taking lessons and learning how to play just some basic chords, I hope that this inspires her. That's really my dream with this. Huh? Dream? Get it? And even if she doesn't, it's kind of cool looking, and hopefully she can hang it up somewhere, or, you know, take it on tour with her or something, or show people and go, ha, look what Chris made me, isn't he silly? Any of those I'm fine with. Thank you so much for watching the entire episode, and I will see you next time.